Hey guys, SimCoder here, and today we are going to actually start to write code into our Uber app. We are going to do the login and registration, and I'll explain to you the database organization that we are going to use. So first of all, go into your Firebase project. I already have it right here. And go to authentication. In here, we are going to choose our sign-in method. And for now, it is only going to be email and password because it really makes this easy. So we won't dive into Google, Facebook, or any other. So now let's go into our database and I'm going to explain to you what we are going to do with it today. Can dismiss it. So to store our users, we are going to create one main child, user child, and then two below it, our drivers, and we can add it now. Oops, something went wrong. Let's do that again. Riders. Let's set the value just so that we can save it. Okay. And we are going to have the customers. Set it to true. And we are doing this because inside each of these childs, customers and riders, we'll have the ID of the users that we are authenticating. So we know which one is which because with authentication, when users are here, we can't know if they are customers or drivers, which is an important distinction. So that's all for now. Let's go into our Uber app. I'll just drag it here. And this is where we left off in the past lesson. So let's change to app. Okay. So now we are going to make the main activity, and the way I'm going to make this app is basically having two distinct apps inside the same one. So in the first page, which is going to be this main activity, the user can choose if they are a driver or a customer, and each one will bring them to separate things. So yeah, let's begin. Let's add two buttons here. We don't want a constraint layout. Let's choose a linear layout. Let's make two buttons. Button can be match parent, wrap contents. Text is going to be I'm a driver, and the ID will just say driver. Now let's copy and paste that, and let's say customer and customer. Okay. We have to set the orientation, otherwise the linear layout doesn't know what to do. Vertical, okay. So now we are going to call the buttons. So private button and driver and customer. Now let's create the find view by IDs. Close button. Find view by ID or .id driver. Okay. I'll do the same for the customer. And now we have to set the on-click listeners. So let's do the first for the driver, dot set onClick listener, new onClick listener. And in here we are going to have an intent. And this intent will take us to the login and registration page of the driver. So we can call intent main activity.this and driver login activity, which we'll create now. Okay, start activity intent and finish return, and that's all. So now let's go ahead and create our activity for the login of the driver, an empty activity, and we are going to call it driver login activity, which is the same one that we call it here. So let's go ahead and finish that, and here we are. The error disappeared, and in here we are going to okay, so now let's take care of the login of the driver, and then we'll do the same for the customer, because they are really similar, but I'm creating two of them just to make things as clear as possible and to not make any confusion of the two. So in here, let's change this to a linear layout. Okay, in here, we are going to create two edit texts. Much better. Okay. The first one is going to be an email. So we can put the int just so we know which one is which. Okay. The ID is going to be email. Let's copy and paste that. And now do the same for the password. The ID password, okay. And now we are going to have two buttons. One for the login and one for the registration. So text login, ID the login, registration. Okay, that's done. Now let's go ahead and call the edit text and buttons. So private edit text, email, and password, and private button, login, and registration. I'm actually going to copy that just to make things easier. Let's grab that. Let's grab the email and the password. Email, password. It is an edit text, not a button. Let's grab it again. Okay, so now we are going to, as I've said in my Firebase lesson, so I'm not going to go into great detail here. You can check my lesson if you have any questions. I'm just going to make a quick explanation. So you'll need the moff. Oh, first of all, I was almost forgetting. We need to have to add the libraries that we are going to use. And so we can come in here to the Firebase documentation, which I'm going to link down below. And okay, we've added this, and we are going to need this one, which is the core. and you are going to edit below that. And we are going to need some more. So we'll need the database in order to store information to the database. I think must be the compile, so let's do like this. Let's cut that and paste it there, okay? Oops. Okay. And we'll need the auth, which is this one. Okay, let's grab that. You don't have to write it, just go to the link down below and paste that. Sync now. Okay, now that that's done, go in here and now we can import this class. Okay, and we'll need the listener for when the off state changes. So off state listener, Firebase off listener. We'll call that in here. So with moff, we are going to get the instance of the Firebase off. So we'll get the states and you'll get the current state of the login status. Okay. And we'll call the Firebase off listener, which is going to be equal to new Firebase off state listener, okay, and just make sure you add the semicolon there. And now we are going to check for the user status, and if the user, okay, Firebase user, like that, import the class. Let's just call everything now. Get instance dot get current user, and this variable stores the information of the current logged in user. So whenever we log in, this off state listener will be called, and we can move on to the next page. So if the user isn't null, because this off state listener is also called upon when the user logs out. So we have to make sure that the user is logged in order to move forward. We do an intent. Actually, I'm going to copy and paste what we did here, just so we can save some time. Okay. Now in here it is in main activity, it is driver login activity. And we still don't have the activity, but we are going to add it later. So, okay, start activity, intent, finish, okay. We leave that like this. It has an error, so before we run it, we'll create another activity just so that we can explain it and move forward. Okay, so the user logs in and he goes to the next page. Now we have to make the actual buttons to log in and register. So the first one, let's do the registration one. And registration, set onClick listener, new onClick listener. And let's get the text that an email and an password have. So final string email equals an email dot get text dot to string. Okay, do the same for the password. Password and password. now we are going to use the moff in order to create the user. And to do that, we use the create user with log email and password function, and we pass the values email and password. And we add on complete listener driver login activity dot this, and now we do new on complete listener. Okay, add the semicolon at the end, and we are going to check if task is successful. If you have any questions about what I'm doing, please check my Firebase tutorial, because I go into really deep detail about this, and I'll answer all of your questions if you have them down in the comment section. So do that. Now, if the task isn't successful, we are going to make a toast telling the user that something went wrong. So driver login activity dot this, sign up error, toast dot length short dot show. But if this if fails, so we are going to create the user. We are going actually, if this doesn't fail, if this fails, which is the same as saying that the creation was successful, the user is already created and it already appears in the authentication. But we want to save some information to the database. We want to, because we are doing the drivers now, we want to put the ID of the user in this child, in this driver child. So to do that, we'll first of all get the user ID that was assigned to the driver at the moment of registration. So we do this moff dot get current user dot get UID. And now we create a database reference, and this database reference is going to point to the riders. So current user DB equals Firebase database dot get instance dot get reference dot child users dot child customers drivers, excuse me, drivers dot child user ID. And now we are going to set this database reference to true, just so that it is saved to the database. If you leave it like this, nothing happens. So you must set some kind of value to it, even though you won't really use it for nothing. So you can set it to true just to make sure it is saved. So yeah, and now first of all, I was about to forget a really important thing. We must start this listener. So whenever the activity is called, we are going to start the listener. And on start, we do moff dot add of state listener Firebase of listener. Now do the same on stop, which is the same thing as saying when you leave this activity, you are going to stop the listener. So you remove it, remove of state listener. Okay. So now that the registration is done, we are going to move on to the login button. So mlogin dot set on click listener, new on click listener. And we are going to grab again the email and password, and we are going to say moff dot where is it? sign in with email and password. Okay, pass the email and the password. Dot add on complete listener driver login activity dot this new on complete listener. Okay, add the semicolon, and in here all we have to do is actually repeat this, so I'm going to copy and paste that. It's just to show a toast, a warning to the user that the sign-in failed. So sign-in error, and if this isn't true, then this off-state listener is called and we move on to the next page. But for now, let's create a new activity, which is the activity to which we move on after the login or registration is completed. So we'll just say map activity for now. We'll change it later, but just for this lesson, we'll call it this. So now go in here and say map activity, and that's all done. Okay, I believe that's all. Can close that. Okay, so now we have the driver activity, but as we saw, we have a driver and a customer. So they are all basically the same. I just wanted to make it as simple as possible. So I'm going to create another one. If you are doing your app, you probably will do this all in the same activity, but now just make it easy. We are going to create another one, and I'll show you what changes within it. Activity. Okay. And we can just copy and paste this all, because it is, as I've said, basically the same. So let's just see. Yeah, okay. Import everything. In here we are going to say customer activity because it's a different XML. We're going to say customer login activity for the toasts. Make sure you change everything that has an error. It's really easy to change. And we are going to, oops, here I forgot the orientation vertical. Okay, now it is done. You can copy and just put it there. And now you can see what's the difference. So as we saw in our database, the only thing that changes is the child in users that the user goes to. So if the user is customer, it goes to a customers. If the user is a driver, it goes into the driver. Actually, okay, yes, drivers. So in the customers login activity, here it isn't drivers, it is customers. Okay, that's the only thing that changes. So yeah, I believe that's all. Let's test it. Oh, first of all, I forgot one thing. You need another set on quick listener, but this time for the customers. So go in here, copy that, customers, capital letter, okay. So let's run it and see if no errors are detected. Okay, so now that that's done, let's try to add a driver and a customer. So for the driver, we are going to call it driver at driver.com and password 123456. Let's register, and we still, it went well. Let's go into, okay, it isn't riders, it is drivers, and here it is, drivers, and the ID of the user that was just authenticated, and here it is. This user ID is equal to the one in the database. And now let's go right into it. because we still don't have a login button, logout button, excuse me, we must uninstall the app for the sign out process to be completed. So we log out and we run the app again. In the next lesson, we'll create the logout button so that we don't have to do this. Now, let's go into the customers and let's try it again. Just to make sure no errors happen. Customer.com. Password again 123456. Registration. And let's go into the Firebase and here it is. Authentication. This ID of the customer matches this one. So now we know which users are customers and which are drivers, which was the main goal of the login of this lesson. It wasn't just to get a login and registration, it was to get the customers and the drivers, which is an important distinction. So that's all for now. If you have any questions, please leave them down below in the comment section. Leave a like, subscribe, and yeah, ciao.